It is Friday, and you know what that means. It's time for the Cerebral Smack Talk live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. Hello, everybody. It is Girl MF Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio and Michael Bullock. We are awaiting the presence of Dee Dee Woodson. We don't know if she's going to be on the show or not tonight. Okay, so we got a lot of news we got to do, and we don't have a lot of time. Obviously, AEW is going on live as we speak at this hour. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold that off until tomorrow night. And what I'm going to do is tonight we're going to do NXT and we're going to do Smackdown Live. I'm going to hold AEW Dynamite off till tomorrow night, including our preview for Double or Nothing. We're going to do that all in one shot. So it's going to be a whole night dedicated to AEW. That will be tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on this channel. And with that said, we're just going to dive right in. We're going to lead it off with NXT. So with that said, we started it off with NXT Women's Champion Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai as they went up against Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. And the winners of the bout in 7 minutes and 46 seconds was Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. They win the match. Good solid match, good battle, good start to the show. This was easily, I could say, about 2.5 to 3 stars. It was a little short for the liking, but it told a good story, and it's a good win for the former tag team champions. You know, they did get a win over Dakota, so no harm, no foul. Raquel doesn't suffer any major loss with this defeat. And for Ember Moon and for Shotzi Blackheart, it puts them right back into the title picture and possibly a future date with the reigning champions, who are Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. So good win for the former champions. Dakota could easily eat the pin because you want to keep the champion strong at this point. So nothing more to say. Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
What was the time of the fall there, MF?
7:46.
Okay, 7:46. 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. This is a good match, but it never quite hit the top gear these two teams can reach. It was all focused on back and forth action, which made the finish feel like it was out of nowhere. Raquel Gonzalez versus Ember Moon or Shotzi Blackheart is a good way to keep the NXT women's title picture fresh. The War Goddess has long waited for a new title shot, and Blackheart proved herself when she wrestled at the highest level with Io Shirai. The women's division in NXT can go any direction and shine. It's all a matter of keeping the stories fresh. So 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star. Solid way to start. Michael Bullock, Mr. NXT. Let's move on to you.
Yeah, I'll give it about 2.5, 2.5 to 2 3/4 as well. I mean, a good way to start it off. I mean, yeah, the match to me was a little too short for my liking here, but and like Fletcher said, I mean, it was good to have Dakota take the pinfall, so it doesn't harm Raquel Gonzalez. So yeah, and it puts Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon right back into the NXT Women's Tag Team title picture, and could give them a shot at Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say.
All right, and then the next fight of the night that we had was Pete Dunne going one-on-one with Bobby Fish. Pete Dunne wins the match in 8 minutes and 40 seconds. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
I told you all this was going to be a technical wrestling showcase, but unfortunately, it wasn't the Flair Steamboat Classic I thought it was going to be, but it was still very good. I'm going to give this about 3 to 3 1/4 stars. While this was Bobby Fish's first match back, it was also a rare singles match for him. He was the tag team stalwart of the Undisputed Era when healthy, but that doesn't mean he could not compete at Pete Dunne's level. He did just that in this match. While the Bruiserweight is a rare breed few can match, Fish kept up. He lost, but NXT set him to defeat Oney Lorcan and begin rebuilding his momentum. It will be interesting to see what he can do on his own in an evolving men's division. So 3 to 3.25 stars for the effort. I was hoping for a little more, but nonetheless, Michael Bullock, this was still a wrestling showcase here. Technical wrestling at its finest, as you and I love so much.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, this was another good match, but also another match that I thought was too short for my liking. But it was about a 3.25 star match. I agree with the rating there. I mean, if the match had gotten more time, I could have given it a much higher rating. But yeah, I mean, but I enjoyed it for the amount of time that it did get. So there's really nothing more to add. Fletch, it is yours.
Yeah, 3.25, no doubt about it. I totally agree with everything you guys have said. Look, I think going into this, we were thinking, oh my God, this is going to be an incredible match. It was going to be a one of these hard hitting, incredible type of a battle. And unfortunately, it didn't kind of turn out that way. But, it was good for what it was worth. The body of work and the action of the match was solid enough. And, at the end of the day, I think the right man won. I think we can all agree that the right man won, and we're just going to have to see how this plays out. So with that said, we'll move on. Next up, we have Mercedes Martinez versus Zeta Reimer, and it was Mercedes Martinez winning the match in 3 minutes and 27 seconds. So, I mean, you can give credit where credit's due. I'm not going to force Michael Bullock to talk about this match. We're just going to move right on along. Immediately after this, we had a whole bunch of filler stuff along the way, and then we had Frankie Monet making her long-awaited NXT debut. She went up against Cora Jade. Frankie Monet wins the match in 3 minutes and 11 seconds. Michael Bullock, this is kind of your first time getting to meet Frankie Monet, a.k.a. Taya Valkyrie. What's your thoughts? You've gotten to see Mrs. John Morrison for the first time. What did you think of her performance now on your show, NXT?
I thought she put up a good debut. I mean, obviously you want to take it easy with her. You don't want to throw her right into the fire right away. But I thought it was a good first showing for her. I mean, I can't wait to see more out of her. But I came out impressed with the. I mean, yeah, it was a short match, but in the amount of time it did get, I mean, I was impressed with what she brought to the table. So, I mean, that's all I can say on that, Fletch.
Yeah, I'll say it was a good first impression. I kind of feel like, I think here's the thing. I've seen her in AAA. I've seen her in Impact Wrestling now, and you're only just scratching the surface with Frankie Monet. Anthony Florio knows it really well because he's gotten to see her in Impact Wrestling. I've gotten to see her through AAA when she first started, because that's where she made her big name in AAA, in that company. So, I mean, for what it was worth, I think they did really well. It was a good match. It was a solid, it was a nice showcase fight. And obviously you're going to want to get her feet wet. So you're going to see more of that, more of a showcase before they push her to try to get for a title. Right now, she just started. So obviously you're going to give her a couple of cupcakes right at the beginning, but you want to get her feet wet because she has not wrestled in almost a few months. So it's been a while since since she's last performed on Impact Wrestling. So Anthony Florio, you know her really well, like I know her really well. What did you think her in her debut match in NXT?
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, MF and I know her very well. Like MF said, MF maybe knows her a little more than I do. Obviously because of the AAA, which of course MF is very religious about that. He watches that religiously, just like New Japan and all the other stuff. Unlike myself and Bullock, but yeah, she was a big star in Mexico, and then of course Lucha Underground. She had a big following there. Her and her real life husband John Morrison as part of the Worldwide Underground, and all the havoc they wreaked down there, and yes, Impact Wrestling MF, absolutely. Only the longest Impact Knockout Women's Champion in the company history, 370 days. She held that thing for a little over a year. I mean, unbelievable. And then, they relegated her to, filler and silly stuff, mainly with Johnny Bravo and Rosemary and all that silliness, with the Wrestle House and all that nonsense. But now here she is on the grand stage in the big time. And I'm sure it was a treat for Bullock because it's the first time he's gotten to see her wrestle. Nothing new for myself and MF. We've seen her plenty of times. And I'm not really going to rate this because it's hard to rate a squash match highly, but this was all that it needed to be. Monet looked dominant throughout, and her only flaw is her arrogance. She almost let Cora Jade into the bout, but she was always going to win. What is important here is that La Huira Loca was established, and fans saw how dangerous she can be. Since she has been set up as a rival to just about everyone in NXT, it is only a matter of time before she gets serious competition. So a good debut for her, no doubt about that. And I'm not really going to rate this, so it's because it's hard to rate,
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, but I'll close it out by saying two words, and two words that I love to say, and then a lot of the writers out there like to say. And MF, you know where I'm going with this. It was a delicious squash.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Let's move on.
Well, we had a delicious squash to the fight of the night. It was for the NXT Championship, Karrion Kross versus Finn Balor. And Karrion Kross wins the match via a referee stoppage, 22 minutes and 22 seconds. Oh my God, what a main event. This was 4.5 to 4 3/4. It came dangerously close to 5, but it doesn't get the 5-star rating. But man, what a match it was. This was everything it needed to be, and then some. Balor had a couple of moments in the match where he could have won the NXT title again, but the outcome was never in doubt. Karrion Kross dominates the match and gets the job done and successfully defends the title. Anthony Florio, it is yours. 4.5 to 4 3/4. Just missed out on the 5-star. If it would have gotten maybe 5 more minutes, it would have gotten the 5-star classic.
I think 4 3/4 is a little bit reaching, with all due respect, but I do agree on 4.5. Though it was definitely the fight of the night. 4.5. That's always how I rated it, dating back to watching it the other night. This was a strong rematch between two great competitors. While it didn't tell as consistent a story as the TakeOver contest, the action was more memorable. Finn Balor and Karrion Kross truly brought it all to this back-and-forth clash that sold how great both men are. The finish definitively made clear who the better man is, though, and Kross is one of the most dominant men NXT has ever put over. At this point, it is hard to believe anyone can beat him. Only Kyle O'Reilly has a chance, and NXT will likely wait for the right moment on that bout. Ultimately, this was all that it needed to be. It's unclear where Finn Balor goes from here, but his work in NXT has truly been accomplished. Fight of the night, no doubt about it. 4.5 stars for me. Fight of the night. Michael Bullock, a TakeOver-worthy main event on free television, man. How about it?
Yeah, 4.5 stars. Definitely the fight of the night. This was definitely a TakeOver-worthy match here on TV here, and yeah, I mean, no surprise with the outcome here, and yeah, I mean, and there's no doubt about the outcome here with the. So now the question is, who's going to be the next to challenge him? Well, we'll have to wait and see, but there's really nothing more to say, Fletch. Let's get on to overall thoughts on the show.
Anthony Florio, you lead off.
I'll say it like this. This was about maybe 7.5 for me. I mean, that main event. I mean, the main event definitely was the high point, no doubt about it. And then from there, some of them. I mean, no other match on this show was going to top it. We all knew that. It was no, actually, I had it at about 7.5 to 8. Actually, I mean, once again, NXT puts on a tremendous show. There was a great blend of quality wrestling from top to bottom, important angle advancements, set up for the future, and a few squashes to showcase talents who needed it. Of course, a couple of other things that stood out, obviously, that we didn't address. It looks like Bronson Reed's first challenger for the North American Championship is going to be Santos Escobar. That could be good. That could be interesting. And of course, that $1 million face-off with Cameron Grimes and the Hall of Famer $1 Million Man, Teddy DiBiase, that was interrupted by L.A. Knight. And who knows? It could set up a future rival, a future feud with Grimes and Knight, a couple of former Impact mainstays, formerly Eli Drake and Trevor Lee, respectively. So, we'll wait and see, and we'll see where the $1 Million Man comes into play with this. And if the rumor is true about a certain piece of hardware that made the $1 Million Man a very famous individual, if that's true,
Yes.
Boy,
And
let's
actually,
not give too much away.
Let's not give too much away. However, I've heard on reliable sources that piece of hardware that you're talking about is supposed to show up at some point. So it is going to happen.
I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think of the nostalgic feel that all of us are going to get when we see that thing. But, we'll wait and see. But for right now, 7.5 to 8 out of 10 for me. So, Michael Bullock, another week, another great showing from your brand. Bullock, are you there? Okay, there he is.
Yeah, 7.5 to 8. I mean, we all knew that the main event was going to be the fight of the night, and no other match was definitely going to top it. I mean, there were a couple other matches that were good. Everything else was just there, but yeah. So there's really nothing more to say. Fletch, I give it to you.
7.5 is my rating for the show. I thought it was a solid show. It was a really good. They did a good job. So there was really nothing more to add there. So we're just gonna go right into SmackDown Live, and we started it off with the first fight of the night. That was the tag team match. The Street Profits going up against the Usos. And there was a little promo segment before that was absolutely fire, man. That I was all pumped up. It was really awesome how they played out. And it was amazing how the way the show started. I even commented and sent it. I commented on Twitter, then I sent it to Facebook, so everybody knew how incredible the opening segment was. And then the match itself was even better. So the Usos wins the match in 21 minutes and 40 seconds. I mean, oh my God. I mean, the first 45 minutes of this show absolutely killed. It was a 10 out of 10 overall. As far as the match goes, it was about 4.5 stars. And Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
Yeah, I saw your post on Facebook, MF, about how hyped you were after that promo, throwing in the "Let's go" and all that. Yeah, I'm right there with you. 4.5 stars, hands down the fight of the night. No other match on this show came even remotely close to this match. This was a damn good opener, and one that would have been even better in a pay-per-view setting. Could you imagine if they had saved this, if they had put this in front of the fans? Ho, ho, ho. Unreal. Without commercial breaks to derail the momentum. Jimmy rocking Uso's gear in hopes that his team with his brother will one day reign supreme, while Jay remained loyal to Roman Reigns with his right-hand man, was a great touch to the overarching storyline. The two teams exhibited the in-ring chemistry one would hope for, and the match felt appropriately epic. That so much time was devoted to it only helped matters. The right team went over, as the Street Profits are pretty bulletproof from a credibility perspective at this point. The potential is there for more matches between the two, but it will be imperative not to overexpose the bout and subject it to criticism, especially when this felt as special as it did. And the and even the promo that they cut beforehand, the verbal exchange that they had, that was well done as well. So not much more to say on that. 4.5 stars. Fight of the night. Michael Bullock, it wasn't even close. No other match on this show came even remotely close to this one.
Oh, there was no way any other match was going to come close to what we saw here. But yeah, the promo with the exchange between the two teams was just awesome. And then the way this match went, whew, my goodness. Like you said, 4.5 stars. Definitely the fight of the night, hands down. I mean, both teams were really good. I mean, first time we've seen the Usos in action in over a year. I mean, and it's almost like they never left. So yeah, I mean, and the Profits, they definitely showed that they can hang around with a team like the Usos. So definitely a good way to start it off. So there's really nothing more to say. Fletch, it is yours.
And then we had I believe was the perfect cool down match right after that red hot start. It was Natalya and Tamina going up against the Riot Squad in a non-title match. And Natalya and Tamina wins the match in 4 minutes. Anthony, perfect cool down match after a red hot start. But something that we really needed to note here, I guess the Riot Squad was a little bit of the heels in this match tonight. Tried to take Tamina out early in the match, which probably is a good idea. But Tamina was able to power back, and she's having quite a run in the last ever since WrestleMania. Tamina's been one of the biggest stars on SmackDown right now.
And rightfully so. But before I get into that, it is disappointing to see the Riot Squad relegated to an afterthought of sorts in the women's tag team division. They were not granted an entrance, and there was never really any suspicion that they would win this bout. Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan are a talented team with more charisma than so many that have been pushed ahead of them. They should be more than they are, though through no fault of their own. Natalya and Tamina's Cinderella story continued tonight with a dominant win. This was a great showcase for them, highlighting what each does so well, while allowing them to build momentum as champs. No harm, no foul on that front. About 1.5 to 2 for the effort. So, Michael Bullock, nothing more to say. MF nailed it perfectly. Perfect cool-down fight after that red-hot opener.
Yeah, this was definitely the perfect cool-down fight after such a damn good match with the Usos and the Profits. So, 1.5 to 2 for the effort here. I mean, and like you said, what a role Tamina has been on since WrestleMania, and you want to talk about afterthoughts, Florio. Tamina, she was pretty much an afterthought herself. As good and as talented as she was, she's been. Before this run, we were like, did we ever think she was going to go on this run? No,
absolutely not. No.
A lot of people thought she was going to get cut at one point. A lot of people thought she was going to get released.
And a job in the stars.
Yeah.
Ever since WrestleMania, it's been a totally different story, and she finally got rewarded with winning a championship. It's the women's tag team titles, and like I said before, it was long overdue for her because
Amen.
she's been with the company for a long time. She
11
deserved that
years.
moment. 11 long years, and they won the titles weeks ago. I mean, I couldn't help but be happy for her. So I really
Oh,
hope
absolutely.
I really hope they give her a nice long run with the tag titles along with Natalia. So nothing else to
Absolutely.
say. Flush it.
I kind of feel like right now they're definitely on their way to having a nice run. I think I definitely agree with that. And the thing is that for once, I think what I really think is the reason why, and I'm gonna openly admit this. There's been a lot of fans who's been rooting for Tamina, especially on social media, and her reaction that she got at WrestleMania. I think it kind of perk the ears of WWE, and the corporate suits were like, you know what? All right, let's give her a run. Let's give her a rub. Let's see how she does as a champion. So at the end of the day, that's exactly what happened. So I'm very happy. I'm thoroughly impressed, and props to WWE for giving her what I believe is what she truly deserves, and that's a nice run with the tag title. Natalia, same thing, another veteran of the company, well liked by a lot of fans, and we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. So we got that going on. So right after that, we had was a one-on-one match, a non-title again, as it was Bianca Belair versus Carmella. Bianca Belair wins the match in 5 minutes and 45 seconds. Michael Bullock, I'll give this to you. So Bianca continues her winning ways as SmackDown Women's Champ.
Yeah, she definitely continues her winning ways as the SmackDown Women's Champ. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an all right match. I'll give it about maybe another 1.5 stars for the effort here. I mean, it wasn't like anything that much to write home about, but I mean, it wasn't anything special. But it continues the momentum for Bianca Belair, and and obviously there's a certain role model that's still got a problem with the way she retained the title, and you know these two are destined to meet again. So there's really nothing more to say. Fletch, it's yours.
Yeah, she was, and if you notice during the commentary, she was really riding Michael Cole, and for that matter, was riding a little bit on Pat McAfee about how Bianca won her match and talking about the hair and everything else. So I kind of wonder where that's coming from. Now we know the hair has been used as a weapon. Talk to Sasha Banks at WrestleMania night one, and that whiplash that you heard, that sounded like a gunshot going off. You even saw the fans in Orlando. You saw the fans in Tampa at Raymond James how they absolutely flipped the heck out when Bianca used the hair to whip her.
How about us when we watched it via I think it was via Messenger? We were like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, we all freaked out when we saw that. Yeah, so no, definitely. Me and Anthony Floyo doing our famous "whoa" when that happened as well. So
Oh yeah, most definitely.
yeah, so I mean, again, impressive win for Bianca Belair. Bailey's definitely not leaving the picture anytime soon. So I mean, it was all right. Another good showcase fight more than anything else. And Anthony, I give it to you.
I'm going to be a little more lenient for this one. I'm going to give this about 2, maybe 2.5 for the effort. I mean, there wasn't much to this one beyond Bianca Belair picking up a tough win and Bailey continuing to egg her on ahead of their inevitable rematch. They'll probably save that for the cell, I'm sure. It didn't really advance the storyline, nor did it make the audience want to see said rematch any more or less. It was a segment that just was, and in many regards, those are the worst. Kudos, though, to Carmella for a solid performance, even as frustration over a lack of story and direction mounts. So not much more to say. I'll give this about 2 to 2.5 for the effort. So not much more to say. MF, let's move on.
All right, and then we're gonna. Unfortunately, we did have Seth Rollins cutting a promo. Then we have, unfortunately, a couple of cutouts. Very, very unfortunate. We had Kevin Owens going up against Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental title. Well, actually, it was a non-title match. The fight gets thrown out in 1:10. Kevin Owens wins by DQ because General Aziz used the Nigerian nail on Owens, causing the disqualification. However, that proves to be very costly because Adam Pearce has announced that next week on Smackdown Live, it will be Kevin Owens versus Apollo Crews one more time. The Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship on the line, but more importantly, General Aziz, barred from ringside, will not be out there with this with the Nigerian Prince himself. Then after that, we had Shinsuke Nakamura, of course, with our good buddy Rick Boogs. He went up against Chad Gable, who had Otis. Nakamura wins the match in 1:55. It was, another short match. This is kind of more of a funny ha-ha type thing because of the fact that Corbin's coming out to try to get the crown back. So there's really nothing more to throw there. We go into the main event of the evening. It was supposed to be the Mysterios versus Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. However, before the match got going, Ray got jumped, attacked backstage near the gorilla position. Dominic Mysterio decided that, you know what, I'm going to go alone here. I'm going to represent my family, and I'm going to fight 1-on-2 for the tag titles. But the Mysterios do win the match. The Mysterios wins the match in 7 minutes. Look, I'm going to say it. This was a good showcase fight for Dominic. Gets him an opportunity to show what he can do more than anything else. And yeah, Ray's music did play at the end. That helped the Mysterios not only win the match, but keep the belts. Nice win for Dominic more than anything else. He's been highly profiled. They've been doing really well lately. And now they got themselves a tag team title fight next week. So we got 2 title matches on SmackDown Live. The Usos versus the Mysterios for the tag team. And we got Kevin Owens versus Apollo Crews 1-on-1 for the Intercontinental Championship. So I'm going to say it. Next week's SmackDown is shaking up to be quite a show, Anthony Florio. And as far as the main event goes, I could give this about 2.5 stars. And this was a decent close to what was a halfway decent SmackDown. It was okay tonight.
Well, this is one of those times where I hate to do this, but I got to be brutally honest here. I got to be the man who tells it like it is and say something that I know is going to upset MF, but I got to do it anyway. It's a question, really. Would it really hurt WWE Creative to simply let the Mysterios, Robert Roode, and Dolph Ziggler have a straight tag team match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships? The reliance on the handicap formula aside, this was a rather uninteresting main event that played out exactly as WrestleMania Backlash, with an even cheaper finish and Ray popping up to provide the distraction and bring about the finish. The arrival of the Usos was great, as were Roman Reigns' facial expressions. That story makes this whole thing passable. I'll give it about 2.5 stars for the effort. The WrestleMania Backlash match, even though with the same formula, that match ended up being actually better. But this one here, no. This serving as the main event for this show was a lot like what we saw on Monday night with that women's tag team title main event. That didn't make sense. This didn't make sense. To me, the Usos and the Street Profits should have main evented this show, honestly. But other than that, 2.5 stars for me. So not much more to say. But Michael Bullock, I mean, Usos and Mysterios, though, you let them go and none of this handicap BS, we're in for something special tonight. I mean, next week.
Yeah, I mean, the Usos and the Mysterios, that could be something really good. But let's not forget the wild card in this, the tribal chief, the head of the table. I mean, who knows if he might have something to say about it. But if you leave him out of it, we're in for something really good next week. 2.5 stars, I agree. I mean, I thought it was a fine match. I mean, I'm with Florio. I mean, the WrestleMania Backlash match between the two teams was better. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to add to it. So let's get into the overall thoughts on this edition of Friday Night SmackDown.
Anthony Florio, you lead off.
6 out of 10 for me. This was a very average week. The opening tag match was amazing, especially since they gave it enough time to develop into something, but everything else was just set up. Owens was established as the next Intercontinental title challenger. Natalya and Tamina reminded us they exist. Seth Rollins talked way too long, and your former tag team champions for the second time in a row can't win a handicap match. This felt like more filler than killer. On the plus side, Roman talking with Jay displayed some next level manipulation. A totally average SmackDown might even have been trending lower, if certainly not for that opening tag match, because that saved this show tonight. You take that tag team match away, it would have been a hell of a lot worse. So, MF, you better thank the Usos and the Street Profits for saving your asses tonight, because if it wasn't for that, I would have brought the hammer down Jesse style. No doubt about it. So, and you would not have liked that.
I remember I think there was a certain situation that happened on Raw this past week that kind of saved the show because we were almost thinking about dropping the proverbial hammer on Raw too. I think it was the McIntyre Kofi fight. If it wasn't for that we were going to drop the hammer on Raw. So no, I totally get it.
Well, you remember Monday Night on Raw. I mean, the show was chugging along great, but then that final hour just absolutely...
it ran off the cliff. It ran off the cliff.
It was the drizzling you-know-whats. That's what it was. So I'll park it there. So so it was definitely a 6 out of 10 for me. I definitely have a little bit of a good feeling about next week, but we'll have to wait and see. And one quick thought, and that is regarding this whole Corbin and Nakamura thing with the crown and whatnot. Is it just me, or are they possibly teasing a possible maybe King of the Ring tournament comeback? Maybe. I
heard that rumor as well, Florio, but I actually think it could be that I think they might have them fight for the crown. I think we might have. I think what we might have is for the first time in, I want to say, all the way back in the early 90s when Macho Man Randy Savage fought Hacksaw Jim Duggan for the crown. I think we might have a fighting for the crown, an actual crown defense.
31 years. 31 years.
Yeah, how cool is that? If they actually start doing that, having a fighting for the crown, letting the crown be a part of the thing, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean that they used to do that a lot in the 80s. I mean, with the likes of Harley Race and Haku and Hacksaw, and Macho did it a few times, but they ultimately kept it on him, and then they removed it. I mean, I would have loved to have seen that with those old King of the Ring tournaments. I mean, whoever won it, I mean, put the crown on the line against certain guys. I mean, that would have been a great way to elevate some guys, but, we'll wait and see. But just a thought. 6 out of 10 for me. Michael Bullock, like I said, if it wasn't for that opening tag match, we would have brought the hammer tonight, because everything else other than that tag match was the drizzle and you-know-whats.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is a 6 out of 10. If it weren't for for that tag team match, this SmackDown would have been pretty bad. So the tag team match definitely saved this show. So there's really nothing more to add to it. So Fletch, I give it to you.
6.5 for me. I'll give it 6.5 out of 10. So yeah, we're gonna call it. That's it. We're done for the night. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern, we're gonna do it all over again. But this time, we're gonna dedicate the whole evening to AEW. We're gonna talk about AEW Dynamite that's going on at this very hour, and then we will also preview Double or Nothing that will be going down at the Daily's Place on the next night, on Sunday night. So guys, until then, have a good night. We'll see you guys tomorrow.